Now, one of the biggest shifts that someone has to usually make when it comes to hiring and working with people online is the management and leadership side. Hey there, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, my goal is that at the end of this video is to be able to walk you through what are different books that would really help you with your management and leadership skills as you're working with someone online. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lacaba. I've been working from home since I was 15 years old and now run my own outsourcing company here in the Philippines. And I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, one of the biggest shifts that someone has to usually make when it comes to hiring and working with people online is the management and leadership side. A lot of the time, and I've seen this over and over again in the last 10 years, is that bosses will think that, oh, the hire just didn't work out, or they just weren't a match, without looking into themselves and seeing like, oh, if I knew about this one concept, it would have actually helped a lot with how I worked with them. Now, this is even something that I recently went through with another client about 2 weeks ago, where they were struggling with their assistant, things weren't working out, and I just gave them a little bit of a concept and actually helped them get that relationship be in a better state. So in the last few years that I've been studying business, studying leadership, management, and basically self-development as well, I've kind of come up with this big list of top books that I really recommend a lot of new bosses or even people who have already had experience working with employees to study and go through. That way, before you can go into like, oh, it just didn't work out, you're actually going to be able to look at what were the specific problems of why this didn't work out in the first place. Now, a lot of the books that I'll be mentioning are all available on Amazon. You guys can check out the links below. Now, the first book, and it's actually part of a two-part series that I'll be talking about, that I really recommend that you study as you're working with someone either online or in person, honestly, is the book 1 Minute Manager, and the second book, which is the Self-Leadership and the 1 Minute Manager. Now, both books have been written by the same author, if you guys can tell from the titles, and they are actually books that I personally ship our clients to be able to read as they start working with their assistant. And the biggest reason for that is it teaches you the very basic concepts of how to work with someone, especially if you don't want to be a micromanager. So it teaches you the concepts of how to be able to give feedback, how to be able to give good and bad feedback, how to set goals with them, and then on the book Self-Leadership, how to actually treat each person based on the task or the project that they're working on that will make it the most effective for you guys to be able to work together. It is such a really good book, and it actually reads as a fiction, which is, for me, as I'm more of a fiction reader, works really well. It gives you a really good concept, gives you a really good story so that you're able to quickly follow and apply all of the things that they talk about. Now, I've even done a whole series before when I was starting out on my YouTube channel, just talking about the 1 Minute Manager, and you guys can check out that playlist here, although at this point it's about 2 years old. But that's how much that book really changed my own perspective and other people's perspectives when it comes to working with your employee online. It gives you such good concepts on how to manage them better, how to lead them better, how to make sure that if they don't really work out, it really was something between your guys' relationship and you have actually done all that you can to be able to make the relationship work. Now, another book that I really recommend is the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, this is one of the first self-development books that I've ever read, and it is still my favorite up to this day. It's been like 6 years since I first read that book, but since then, it has taught me so much about how to treat people, how to be that person that they want to approach, that they want to talk to. And if you're a leader, you want to be approachable enough that your people will come up to you if they're struggling with something, if there's something that they see can be done better. That's one of the fastest ways that you can grow your business and your company. So that book gives you also very basic concepts of how to treat people, kind of like just smile, remember their names, don't engage in complaining. So again, a lot of basic things, but it will teach you so much about having really good social skills that you're able to communicate also clearly. You're able to receive things clearly from other people because you'll know what to ask. You'll also get some things that you might have forgotten already on how to be sociable that you will be refreshed going through this book. It's a really old book, but it's a classic that I really recommend to anyone who wants to get started on learning on how to be a leader. Speaking of leader, the next book that I recommend is the book Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. And again, it's just just a really good book on teaching you the concept of how a leader should act, should behave, should show up for their people. It's one of those books that helped me realize what I wanted my leadership style to be, which is more an empathetic leader, because it teaches you the concept of how if you are the leader, you eat last. You make sure everyone else is provided for before you can consume, because that's the only way that you can really have a long-term business rather than consuming everything yourself before giving to the other people. It gives you really good concepts on how to take care of your people, how to manage them better, how to have them feel that they belong in something rather than it just being another job. Now, the next book that I really recommend is the book Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. That book changed everything for me as I was coming out of reading Leaders Eat Last, and I read that book next. It really solidified the kind of leader that I wanted to be. It gives you like exercises on figuring out what your values are. It gives you exercises on how to see and deal with very difficult emotions and situations as you are a leader. Brené Brown just paints the picture of how it is to actually lead based on so much research that she's done herself on how other people have been able to effectively lead their own teams. The next book that I really recommend, and this is more for your self-development as a person, which of course then develops you as a leader, is the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. Now, that book will give you kind of a really good also overview of the difference between the growth and fixed mindset, and also how to spot them within people. So then when you're interviewing people, when you're getting to know them for your company, you're able to spot these types of people who will work out in your company in the long run or not. So again, it's actually also a really quick read. I actually just listened to it. I didn't actually read it, but it was that good that I was able to engage and think about so many different concepts of how I can grow myself so then I can grow my business. Now, the next book that I really recommend is the book Extreme Ownership. Now, it was written by 2 Navy SEALs and shows you how they're able to handle pressure that much with imminent death literally on their heels as they're serving their nation, and being able to think clearly, to not panic, to have that critical thinking, to keep going, either going with the plan or having to be flexible enough to change it as the terrain changes. So it's a really good book, and it's one of those kind of a little bit harsh, honestly, compared to Dare to Lead by Brené Brown, but it gives you that opposite side of how to lead people through a crisis, through something that's really difficult, again, full of emotions. So that book does just gives you a good balance over the other books that I've just talked about, because it covers how to think clearly, especially when there's a lot of pressure around you. Now, the next book that I really recommend is the book The Obstacle is the Way. Now, it's another really good book on how to think about the pressures in life, how to think about the problems that come up in a business and how to handle them. It kind of helps reframe the problems that come and go inside of a business as you are building your plane as you're still taking off. So it gives you really good examples of how other people have been able to get through the other side, and how you as a leader or as a person would be able to get through the other side when things are tough. Now, one of the top books that I really recommend for management as well as business is the book E-Myth. Now, this is not necessarily a management or a leadership book, but it's one of the biggest parts of my list, mostly because it teaches you the difference between an entrepreneur, a manager, and a technician. And the reason why knowing these distinctions is so powerful is then you get to learn better how to treat people, whether you have your entrepreneur hat on, your manager hat on, or your technician's hat on. You're able to see things from different points of view, and also help you learn how to automate your whole business so that it's easier to pass it on to someone else. Now, speaking of automate, you guys can watch this video on how I talk about how to make systems easy, which was actually a speech that I did for Payoneer, and it will give you guys that good concept of how can I make things easier for me and my assistant. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button right there, and comment below what are books that you've read that weren't on this list that you really recommend. Now, if you guys still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out the 2 playlists right here and the newest video right here. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. And remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!